Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Final Fantasy Count Up Cast, FF Count Up Cast. Let's just call it Count Up Cast for short.
Count
How
up
does that
cast
sound?
sounds
Count up
really good.
cast.
Count
It's got
Up
alliteration.
Cast. Yeah, otherwise it's just things get a little bit out of hand. We are going to be joining you for the next several weeks for the duration of our event. We'll be describing the event, introducing ourselves, and making sure that everyone has a pretty good expectation of what's to come for the next couple of months. I am one of the three, Michael, Mr. Happy, Poveromo. Joining me is Scott. You want to start with yourself? Because I don't know if we want to do last names, first names, anything, so I'm not going to take
Doesn't matter.
control
My
of
name's
this.
Scott Hellier or tehMorag. I run a pretty damn fun stream with serious conversations from time to time. I'm extremely tired too.
You sound it, like really tired.
I'm so tired.
Yeah, I know that feeling right now. It's that kind of a day. I'm Slackaholicus. I run the best stream on Twitch, and yeah, we do serious conversation stuff.
I somehow have double me and I don't know why or how.
Double me?
That's not good.
Well, that's how great your stream is, that there's two of you.
Now I know how you get all that work done. You cloned yourself.
Yeah, I was wondering that too, having had a few meetings with him about this. So, FF Count Up. Man, this has been in the works for a pretty long time, for those who didn't know.
When did I start talking to you about this?
Oh, man.
East?
April? Beginning of April?
Yeah.
Oh,
Been a
my
while.
goodness. It's been a long time coming, but it's good to finally have something. And it's funny because, like, we are all streaming this on our own separate channels right now, so all of us have different technical issues that we're dealing with. He has two of me. I look like a ghost on the other two compared to what I look like on this one, and Morag had to help me troubleshoot that.
Oh,
But
you look pretty good over
You
here.
look good
on
now.
my-
because you taught me how to reach my
How
Logitech
to fix a
controller.
camera.
I'm literally using a different camera for my own stream because I'm just not pleased with the quality of my camera over on your guys' streams. So we're going to be starting. This is the first Count Up Cast. We are going to be doing these every Monday, as far as I know. It's every Monday. I don't know if we're going to stick with this time. This was kind of something this time is something we kind of agreed upon just over the weekend. And we're basically going to be updating everyone. We're going to be talking about the games that we played over the last week. We're going to be talking about expectations for the next week, if it's a Final Fantasy we've played before or not. And we're going to be talking about the series as it's grown since Final Fantasy 1 all the way up to Final Fantasy 15's launch, because a lot's changed over the years, as much as people kind of just remember the good old turn-based days. So what we're going to start right now is we're going to introduce ourselves. That way you know who the heck is even talking to you. I'm sure for some of us, it's the first time seeing each other on one another's stream. So let's make sure we understand who people are. I've done enough talking. Slack, why don't you start by introducing yourself to everyone?
I'm Slackaholicus. I have been. God, it's weird to think about how long I've been streaming on Twitch. It does not feel like I've been around here for like 3 years now. And I started off with Isaac, and this whole year I've actually been doing RPGs. And it was really funny leading up to the Final Fantasy Count Up, because I was telling my stream for months now that leading up to 15, I was going to be playing a bunch of Final Fantasy games anyway. And then Morag was like, hey, I'm doing this thing with some other people called the Final Fantasy Count Up. And I was like, yeah, of course I'll join in on that. I'm doing that already, so I'm in.
All right, Morag, why don't you take the time to say more than just... And this is better than the introductions. The reason we're doing it again is because I have the best stream on Twitch. Is not a full introduction to who you are.
I have the second best stream on Twitch. The first one's is everyone else's, so you're all set there. But as I was saying, Scott Hellier, tehMorag, I started off on Twitch just over 4 years ago now, and I am full on a full-time variety streamer. Coming into Final Fantasy Count Up, though, when I first started streaming, I had actually found two separate people that were doing Final Fantasy-esque marathons at the time, and I'd said, I want to do that one day. And I've been sitting on this. I've been wanting to do it for like the last 2 years. I'm like, damn it, this is the perfect time to do it, especially with Final Fantasy 15 coming up. And I'm just like, let's just play all the games if we can to do it. So 2 months... it was a fair assessment, minus TwitchCon. Screw you, Twitch.
Oh, man. Are we gonna have like a whole section where we just complain about the TwitchCon time?
Oh, you're more than welcome to complain about the TwitchCon. I don't know. Do you complain about the TwitchCon time, or do you complain about the timing of 15?
Timing. Yeah, it's.
I'd imagine. I guess it depends on who came up with it first, because they had to. I mean, there's no way that we knew TwitchCon before we knew Final Fantasy.
We heard about TwitchCon first,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that it was the one that was decided first.
They gotta push it an extra week closer to Christmas. More sales.
There you go. All right. So for the event, guys, in case you're ever wondering about us or you want to learn more about the event itself, we do have a website. It's in the bottom right hand section. You can thank Morag for putting that together because I was on Skype with him while he was doing it the whole time and just refreshing the page over and over again to see what he did. So I got to watch him build that. So thank you, Morag.
Think that looks good? Think that's better?
I like it. I like it. I like the way it looks. He's the one who did the calendar. He set up the Discord. We also have Maury Visuals did the artwork for the Count Up logo. He also did Morag and mine's little Final Fantasy VIII-esque portrait. So you can check out all that on the website, ffcountup.com. And there's a calendar there so you know when we're playing which games and what's going on. There's Discord too, so join it.
There will be more also being added to the website, to the Discord, to the website and the Discord, the calendar. There we go. As this event will be evolving over time as well too. So there is some more community initiated events that will be showing up as well. So keep an eye on that calendar.
Yes. All right. So speaking of that, I don't know if you guys have ever done any sort of like chain playing of Final Fantasy games back to back. I don't know. You said you've wanted to do the 2 years, but I don't know if you've ever done it before.
I've done it once. I did the 13 days of Final Fantasy 13.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Where you had to stream for like 20 hours a few times to finish the games on time.
Well, that was because I made the dumb mistake of being like, man, we're just going to 100% 13.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Why'd you do
But that game is so fun! But anyway, we'll talk about that soon.
All items. Let's...
It's so
God.
fun.
That's great. What about you, Slack? Have you ever chain played Final Fantasy games back to back before, even as a kid?
I'm trying to think. I've done a lot of RPG streams back to back to back. I mean, this whole year I've been doing RPGs. In the past, I don't think I've done Final Fantasies back to back. I think last January I may have done like Super Mario RPG and then Chrono Trigger and then Final Fantasy 6 and then 7. I think I've played 6 and 7 back to back at one point, but that's as close as I've gotten to a Final Fantasy marathon.
Well, cool. So then how about we start with you then on our expectations for Final Fantasy Count Up. What are you kind of hoping you get out of this in terms of maybe your community or as an RPG player or anything like that? What do you want to get?
An excuse to replay a lot of my favorite games, a series that I grew up on and that completely shaped me as a gamer. It's been years since I played through some of the titles, like probably 5, 6, 7 years, and for some of them that's just way too long for me. Community-wise, I'm hoping to see some new faces around here. Let everybody know that I've been playing RPGs all year, and it's been a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of fun doing that, and so I'm hoping to get some more people in that are really interested in that kind of stream.
What about you, Morag?
So like I've always been a fan, a huge fan of the series, but like I'm sad to say I haven't played through every single one of the games. There's a large catalog, and there's a lot of the games I just haven't honestly had time to play. And so coming through into Final Fantasy Count Up, this was the easiest excuse for me to basically say, hey, I now have time to do this. I now have some hype behind it. And it's just gonna be good. I could actually sit down and play through every single one of them. I have played like a little bit of every single one of them, but I've never actually sat down and fully beat it. And that's what I'm looking forward to, because like all the 12 main games, every single one of them, I will be beating the last boss before I go on to the next.
Which ones haven't you beaten then?
2, 3, 5.
Ooh.
I don't want to talk about 2 next week. I'm so dreading talking about 2.
8 and 12. But yeah.
Really, that many of them? Wow.
8. So 8. I end up 8's the one I'm most salty about, because back in the day I was not a PlayStation person at all, and I ended up having the it crash after the Lunar Cry FMV. It froze. I couldn't do anything. I was so angry. So angry.
Scratch discs, man.
It was an emulator issue. It was an emulator issue.
Okay. See, I've had
I
similar
had-
issues to that
I
with
had the
scratch
disc.
disc.
I've
And the
had
disc-
that happen.
And the disc was good. I tried a whole bunch. I asked for a bunch of different friends' discs, and it was still a no-go. It was an emulator. You could still see it running. It just wouldn't jump to the next part.
I had that same thing happen with Valkyrie Profile a little over a decade ago when I played it on emulator, actually. There were a few dungeons in the game that would just crash every time. And it wouldn't just crash, it would just hang at the loading forever. You'd hear the music, and it would just sit there. And you'd wait 20, 30 minutes. Oh, it was terrible. I've been there.
Yeah, lackluster.
I have a great Final Fantasy VIII story when we get to that week, because I have a nightmare story. I think I told Morag this one already, but I'll save that one because it's completely contradicts my name. For myself, I actually tried to do something similar in 1 month in February of 2014, where I said I was going to play through as many of them as possible, and I literally made it through 1 and 2, and then Lightning Returns came out, and that was the remainder of the month because I wanted to platinum that game. So that I failed horribly. So for me, it's just a matter of taking all the different times I've revisited most of the titles and revisiting them again. Most of them I've played recently within the last 2 or 3 years, but 12 I haven't played since it launched on the PlayStation 2. And with Zodiac Age coming out next year, I wish they could just push that up to towards the end of September.
Oh my
That
god!
would be.
I can't wait because that
great.
should be the international Zodiac job system version.
Yes.
which
From what I
is
understand,
really
it
good.
is definitely the international.
I've
job
played
version.
the fan translation patch of it, which is what I'm actually going to be playing for the Final Fantasy count up, and it is so fun.
I'm going to be torturing myself because I had to stop playing 12 because I wasn't a huge fan of how the license board ended up working, and it just felt very bland and just no real character progression. And then I stopped playing like right before the main Sid battle, and then I heard that version was out. I was like, son of a bitch.
I actually had the same thing happen to me. I had the original disc, and I played up to about the point where you do the Sid fight, and then I just stopped. I could not enjoy the game.
You stopped at like literally the same spot that I
Yeah.
did too. Like I had to run around the city, and then I just stopped. I went back a couple months later, beat up the Sid fight. I'm like, I don't care. I'm moving on.
I don't care at all. Yeah.
See, for me, Final Fantasy 12, I always say is my least favorite because I AFK'd for the hardest boss in the game. I literally set up my gambits and walked out of the room. And it took
Just
about 6
AFK,
hours.
yes, Matt.
Yeah, it took about 6 hours to beat him that way when you can beat him in less than an hour if you actually play the game. But that was just the result of the license board. Like it's just what it did. Like Zodiac took a really long time to beat doing that though because you needed to time your attacks. Yeah.
So am I sensing an overnight stream of a cam of just your character just killing that
leaving the
boss?
game up?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing is, I am actually because I pulled out my backwards compatible PlayStation 3, and I will be playing the original PS2 release on the PlayStation 3 and saving Zodiac Age for next year when it comes out. Let that be my first experience with it.
Yeah, that's my plan as well too.
Yeah, so I could totally do an overnight Yasmat stream where I just... The problem is if I die, Twitch might have to shut the channel off because otherwise it's just going to be me at a
3 hours of a game over screen.
Yeah, 3 hours. It's going to be way more than that, but that would be great. The AFK Yasmat stream. The last couple of bars of health are pretty rough, and if he starts doing Curaga or regen, it gets pretty bad also.
It's okay, you just extend the stream to 10 hours then of dying.
10 hours, just let the regen fall off automatically. Yeah, no problem.
Regened up half his health in that time, but no big deal.
Yeah, no, that's no big deal at all. I'll just go to sleep. Yeah, it's the overnight Final Fantasy. Twitch watches Final Fantasy 12. They can't play it because that would be kind of ridiculous. And one of my favorite things I'm looking forward to is actually getting to replay 6 because 6 is going to be we'll talk about it in a little bit. We'll talk about our favorites and why they're our favorites. Yeah. That one's going to be fun. That's a big reason why I really am looking forward to Count Up. So we've already started kind of dabbling with the history of Final Fantasy for each of us, with Morag telling us which ones he's beaten. Slack, have you beaten all of them?
No, I've actually only played about 10 minutes of Final Fantasy 2.
That's for the better.
Yeah, I know. I may skip that one depending on how fast Final Fantasy 1 goes. We'll see what ends up happening with that. I have not played or beaten 3. I've played about 5 or 10 minutes of that one too. That one I'm actually looking forward to though because I'm a big fan of the job systems. Final Fantasy Tactics is my favorite game of all time. And so I'm looking forward to getting into that and kind of seeing where Final Fantasy started its job system, like changing jobs, not just where you select jobs like Final Fantasy 1 and then play it for the rest of the game. And then I've beaten 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 I beat last year finally. And then I got, Morag, I'm sorry, I got to the last dungeon of 13 and I just stopped.
It's okay. If you didn't have Saz and with haste, it was going to be a pain in the ass.
I probably did. I don't remember. I got to the last dungeon and I was just like, you know what? I'm good for now.
It's
and
okay.
I'm finally going to beat it.
For now.
13 is 13, but 13-2. That's
what everyone says. 13-2 is where it gets good. And actually, before I got into the count up, I was like, this year I really want to do 13 and do the whole trilogy because Lightning Return seems kind of cool because it's got that kind of job system aspect to it. And now it's like, well, there's no time for that, especially with TwitchCon.
Yeah. Oh man, let me tell you about the next few months. Let me tell you about the next few months right here. So we have count up, and we're starting with 1 and 2 this week, which we'll talk about in excruciating detail next week because there's a lot to say about 1 and 2. We have all the way through to September 30th when TwitchCon and Final Fantasy 15 is. At the end of that month is World of Final Fantasy, which they've already said is supposed to be, without side quest, a 100-hour game.
I had not heard that. Oh my!
The thing is, it's basically like World of Pokemon Final Fantasy. So I'd imagine a lot of that time is calculated in collecting and leveling all the different mirages and whatnot. True, yeah. And then if you're an RPG fan, you might as well play Pokemon on November 18th, which is just a few weeks later. And then Kingdom Hearts 2.8 is in December, and then Zodiac Age is in Q1 of next year. So there goes the next 7 to 8 months of our lives right there to RPGs. So that's gonna be a fun one. So I've beaten and played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 13, 2, 13, 3. And the only ones I haven't played are like After Years and
which is another one I wanted to get around to.
You played Crisis Core.
I have played and finished Crisis Core, yes.
Another awesome game.
Yes. I used to own the Dissidia. I never played Duodecim. I've played pretty much as many Final Fantasies as humanly possible. Tactics 1 I never finished, only because by the time I played it, it was like, it's old PlayStation 1 controls, and I'm just like, oh, God, it's not that it's a bad game, it's just like, when I input something, I want it to respond immediately.
I've actually had that issue when I tried to go back and play the original Fallout 1 and 2.
Yeah.
The user interface in those has not aged very well. And so I played it for 5 minutes and was like, I'm done. I'm out. I can't do this to myself.
Wait, did any of you guys end up playing Dirge Cerberus?
Yes, I have 100%ed that game as well.
No, I haven't touched that one either. This is like one of the downfalls, because I was a Nintendo kid. Like, I didn't get my first PlayStation until PlayStation 2, and it was like right near the end of the cycle, like its cycle. Right. So, like, going back and trying to play all of the good games, man.
Whoa. I'm sorry. Can you take Dirge of Cerberus out of that sentence?
Hey.
Trying to play all
the games.
The franchise games.
There you go. I actually don't hate Dirge of Cerberus as much as some other people, but it's not a favorite. We'll just call it that. Crisis Core, on the other hand, I love that game. That was fantastic.
It's one of the few games that I can say that I've played more than 3 times. I don't tend to replay my games, and Crisis Core is one of those ones.
I think that's a good choice to replay them right there. So, speaking of which, a lot of these games have been re-released so many times at this point, and we've, again, started touching on it, but have you guys played the original versions of most of them, or have you guys waited for, like, the remakes that have come out on the later years? We'll start with Slack here. I know Morag looks super excited to talk about this. I'm going to cut him off and let Slack go.
My first Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy 1 on the Nintendo. I grew up with the series, yeah. I had a little accident when I was playing Final Fantasy 1. I was younger, and I didn't understand the world as well. So I booted up the game, and I was used to seeing save files on games, and there's no save files on the original Final Fantasy 1. But on the main menu, there is a thing called, I think it's called volume setting, and it's got 8 different sets, 8 different numbers that you can put it to. So I was playing my cousin's copy, and he had just made it past Astos. He'd beaten up the Dark Elf, and I wanted to start up my own save file.
Uh-oh.
So I was like, games like this have save files, of course. So I guess it must be this volume setting number. That's the only thing that changes on here. That's weird. So I put it to a different number, and then I erased his save file.
You're the worst friend
So
ever.
that might
I
as
still feel bad about that today.
I might as well lead into my Final Fantasy VIII story with that. I'm sorry, Morag.
Okay, go ahead.
So the Final Fantasy VIII story I wanted to save, I was on the 4th disc of my first playthrough, and I only had one save file for it. And it was on a memory card I had in my PlayStation, and my cousin says, hey, I've never played Final Fantasy VIII. Let me try. And he makes a new save, and he's going through, and I actually told him, make sure you don't overwrite my save file. And he had been avoiding it the whole time, but mine was the first one in the slot. So it was only a matter of time into disc 1 before he overwrote my disc 4 save file. I angrily, I don't even know how old I was, maybe 9 or 10 years old. I angrily took the disc out of the PlayStation and broke it in half, and I was like, now no one gets to play it. And then I was really upset because I only was missing disc 1 from that point on, and I had to borrow disc 1 from a friend in order to start my save file over again.
Oh, man.
That was awful.
That sucks.
Yeah. Good thing that doesn't happen anymore because everything's digital.
Actually, it's interesting. Like when I first started playing Final Fantasy, it was Super Nintendo. If anyone remembers the Super Nintendo Mega Book that Nintendo put out, where they went and basically was to showcase like all of their like the Super Nintendo library, and they had an entry in there for Final Fantasy 2. And I saw that, I was like, oh, that is so cool. So I went out, went to a local video game rental spot called OK Video, when you could rent games for $1 or $2 a night. That was a great time. I ended up, I could never beat the game. I could never get back. I could never get past any of the bosses. I had to keep going into people's save files and just continue playing from there. And I could never beat a Final Fantasy game for the life of me. Couldn't beat 6, couldn't beat 4. And it was actually, in my first Final Fantasy game I'd ever beaten was Mystic Quest. See, there was a point to having that. I got it for Christmas. I beat the crap out of it. I need a player's guide for one part because it was.
Which part? Which part?
It's
the whole thing.
No, the ice falls, because I didn't know that you could move around the dumb blocks and jump on them.
Oh, okay.
I had to go down to OK Video again, local spot, being like, I need to find out, how do we beat this? He let me go and look at the player's guide. I was like, what?
I can imagine young little Morag shouting like that. What?
What? What's going
Throwing
on?
a book down.
Oh my goodness.
Man.
So
Not to mention, I mean, you were playing all those on rental, right?
Yeah.
How about the good old days of renting an RPG? Then you couldn't rent it for a week. Someone else would rent it, and then boom, your save file was gone. How many times did that happen to you?
I was one of those asshole kids. There was a note inside the package for Secret of Mana that says, "Do not use this save file," because he had it for like a week already, and my mom was getting upset that I couldn't get this game because she wanted to play it too. So we got it. There's the note in there. Don't use slot number 3. I go and put it in. I couldn't beat it because I can't beat any games. So I was like, "What's on slot number 3?" And I start playing slot 3.
He said don't overwrite it, right?
I overread it.
Oh my god.
I mean, if you play for him, I mean, it's like a friend comes over and you hand him the controller, right? It's totally the same thing.
And then leave the room so you don't see any of the story progression.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh man. So okay, so you played the original ones, but what about some of the later ones? Have you guys played any of the remakes that have come out over the many years?
Yes, I have played the GBA versions of 1, 4, 5, 6. I am going to be playing the Steam version of 9.
Good choice.
And I'm going to be playing the Steam version of 3 as well, actually. I don't think I've played any of the other remakes. I specifically avoided the PlayStation remakes because, come on, do we even need to say?
We're talking about the mobile ones?
No, I think he's because
No.
I'm playing Origins on
you're
for
playing
PlayStation 1 and 2, but the look now.
Okay.
Luckily, if you're playing them on like PlayStation 3 or PlayStation TV, there's no discs, so there's no load times nowadays. So that's okay. But back in the day, when a Final Fantasy game's long enough as is, when there's a 30-second load time when you accidentally decided to leave town, like, oh, whoops, I forgot to sleep at the inn. There's a minute of your life gone.
I don't know how I did it, but I somehow ended up beating Chrono Trigger on one of those discs.
No.
I somehow did it. I don't know.
Man.
It played well from what I can
Powered
remember.
through that. I can't believe that. Yeah, because the load times on all of those, when you enter a menu, when you go into a battle, it's like 10 to 30 seconds every time.
Yeah, that was awful. I actually bought Chronicles forgetting about the save times, and I put it into my PS3, and I hated myself very, very, very shortly after. I was like, I can't do this. I'm sorry, I can't. It's going on my shelf. I can't touch it ever again. It's awful. I don't know how I played Anthology growing up, because that's how I played 5 and 6 the first time. Was on PlayStation 1, not on the Super Nintendo.
Oh.
It was a horrible life.
So remember, like, I wasn't a PlayStation kid. I was Nintendo.
Right.
So when I finally got my hands being able to play Final Fantasy X, I had to borrow a friend's PS2 for it and everything. And I ended up getting up to the back of Sin, and I had to get on a plane because I was going to like a camp, and I was trying to beat that boss so much. I was trying to beat the game before I had to get on this plane, and I didn't do it. I got to the back of Sin, and it made me sad. So I hadn't actually been able to beat Final Fantasy X until it came out for the PS3, and I ended up playing it there, 10 and 10 too.
Nice.
Oh man, those are. It's just crazy how many times they've re-released these games. They just know. They know that we're gonna buy it again. They're not
There's
fools.
like a dozen versions of Final Fantasy IV. I want to say that 4 has been remade the most.
Yeah.
And it's one of the few that has a sequel.
Yeah.
To consider all things. Doesn't it have a prologue too?
It's a sequel, prequel, yeah. There's the interludes and then after years.
Oh my goodness.
Interlude comes between After Years and Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it makes you kind of forget. It's like everyone makes fun of 7 for having so many games, but 4 wasn't really a game you expected them to expand upon very much, but they made a bunch of things for that too.
That was a weird one.
Flies under the radar a little bit when it comes to that. Myself, you know, I think my favorite remake is probably the Dawn of Souls, or the 25-year anniversary version of Final Fantasy 1. Easily like, for me, some of the best ones. I think aren't you playing one of the PSP versions?
I'll be playing the PSP version for 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I got it all set up here. It's like I got all of them. They're all ready to go. It was a pain in the ass to get ready, but because Dawn of Souls is like the first time I actually was able to sit down and beat all of FF1 as well too. For what I'm told, it's easy mode because it's using MP versus use system for all the casting.
Yeah,
but,
that's been fun.
I wish that there was a way to go and turn on the use system, because I definitely play it. I tried sitting down, and there was a chance I was going to play the NES version for this event, and I said no.
I said no.
I maybe after everything is said and done, maybe I might go back and just play through it, maybe, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Oh, man. So we've already started doing this, but what is maybe your favorite memory from any Final Fantasy game that you've played, whether it be a horrible, horrible accident or just a stroke of complete luck or brilliance? Do you guys have any of those special moments that just have never left you?
Oh, man. I can't really think of just a specific moment overall.
Oh, they're going to be coming up pretty frequently as we go through the weeks.
I mean, like, for me personally, Final Fantasy Tactics, the entire game and the community that I became as a part of it, but like that's something else. I feel like I'm trying to think of game specific stuff. I kind of have least favorite ish moments in 2 of my favorites.
Oh, those count. Those definitely count.
Sephiroth getting one shot by Knights of the Round, all of that build up, and then you're just like, oh, he's dead. Okay, that's done. And then same thing in Final Fantasy VI. There's all this cool side content in the game. Then you get up to the last boss, and you knock him out in 1 or 2 attacks. It's like, well, good. Glad I spent all that time farming up economizers from brachiosaurs.
Just to be completely overpowered.
Yeah. Have
That happened to me in
economizers
10.
on everybody. Why not?
That happened to me in 10. I got up to Jekt and Yevon, and I just hit them for 100,000 each, and it was over. That's exactly how it happened. Recently, especially.
Have you done Jekt without doing a lot of the side stuff?
I have. When I was very young, I didn't know about the Monster Arena at all. I wasn't playing international version, and yeah, I actually had to fight him when I was young. But then replaying it, I was like, I'm just gonna make sure that he doesn't stand a chance at all this time.
Usually, even to this point, like I still don't do like a lot of side quest stuff. So when I was playing through, actually, when I remember playing through 10 the first time, it was the one Seymour fight up in the
Mount Gagazet.
That fight is bullshit. That fight was bullshit. Went through it when I played it again this time. I was like, it's dead. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that same thing happened to me. I hated that fight growing up. When I replayed it last year around September, I breezed through the fight and I was like, what changed? Did he get nerfed? Is there a patch?
You got better.
The thing is, I had a community member that he wanted to go, Dr. Maple, he wanted to go and play through a Final Fantasy game. I'm like, you're going to enjoy 10. He got up to that fight and he says, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. This game is cheating. And I was just like, yes, it's happening again. But then he realized you just have to farm it up a little bit, get a little bit more HP, and then you're good to go.
Oh, man. What about you, Morag? Was that your memory, or do you have one that stands out more than that?
My memory is getting Final Fantasy VI, again, renting it, because I rented it far too many times. It's by far one of my favorite.
Never too many.
One of my favorite Final Fantasies. And every time I would rent it, there would be a different save file on there. And someone had a end boss save file. So I was able to run through the last dungeon backwards just to discover what was in there. But ultimately, getting up to the boss and then just sitting and watching, like, just everything. Like, how the boss works, all the text, seeing the build up to the boss, and just fighting through it. I didn't beat it. I tried a lot, but I sucked at it. If you see a repetition here, I do suck at video games. But it was just fun seeing each individual character, especially then, like, because like with a lot of RPGs then, they were focusing a lot more on individual character building at that time. So it was really fun to see the whole cast of Final Fantasy VI at the end boss, if you got them all back, and just saying, Kefka, what the hell are you doing? So it's one of the best.
Now that you mention it, actually, I would say that's probably my favorite Final Fantasy series moment is confronting Kefka. Confronting Kefka and Kefka winning. Him using the statues and destroying the planet.
No, we don't even talk about that. I think that's literally...
We don't talk about it unless you wait till the last 10 seconds, and it's okay to talk about it.
It is literally, I think, the only time like where the bad guy actually wins in any...
He completely wins by his goal. Sephiroth he wins in some ways.
Yeah.
He summons Meteor and he becomes part of the life stream, but he doesn't hit the planet with Meteor, but he's still in the life stream, so he can kind of come back and other people.
Yeah. Advent Children. There you go. That's a good one. My memory is when I told Morag no more than maybe 30 minutes ago. So Final Fantasy IX is to this date the only game where I have not finished all of the optional content. And that would be Ozma in particular. I only played it when it launched on the PlayStation 1. I haven't played it since until earlier this year, and I didn't finish it because I found out that we were going to be doing this, so I kind of like just halted my progress on it. So I wouldn't beat it and then have to beat it again 3 months later. So I start my save file and I get to the forest in the early part, and I look at my inventory and I see that I have 13 Ultima weapons for Zidane. I don't know how, but I started the game with 13 Ultima weapons for Zidane. No Game Shark. If it was Game Shark, why would it give me 13 of them?
Yeah,
more
why would it be
specifically?
limited at 13? Why wouldn't you just go for 99?
Why wouldn't I just get one?
I don't know.
And so when I got to Ozma, I just couldn't figure out how to beat him. Like, I didn't know about the mini game making it so he could get melee range. So I ascertained that the only feasible solution for me was to throw all the Ultima weapons at him with Amaranth and have Aiko in my party for the Phoenix Resurrection in case he doomsdayed me. I didn't understand how leveling up worked in that game, how the armor affected your level ups. I didn't understand anything about Final Fantasy IX. And I got him within one hit because I knew he only had 56,000 health. And then he doomsdayed me, and I didn't get a Phoenix Resurrection, and I just stopped and never tried again after that.
Oh man!
I said, "There's no way," and so to this day, I have still never defeated Ozma, except in Final Fantasy XIV, where he is now a boss, and I beat him there every week because I just want him to die a horrible death.
Just for the satisfaction of it.
Just for the satisfaction.
I lied. I do actually have a Final Fantasy moment. I do.
You do?
And it's actually to do with Spirits Within. The movie. Yes, I know. Okay, don't give me those looks. Don't give me those looks. This holds. You need to put your headphones back on. This holds a special moment with me because my dad knew how much I enjoyed Final Fantasy, and he took me to the theaters to watch it. And
the theaters.
The theaters. We actually went to the theaters to watch Spirits Within, and I gotta say, like to see at the peak at its time, 3D animation. Like my dad was even blown by what he was seeing on screen, just how it looked. I still enjoy the movie to this day. So screw all you haters.
I feel like if Final Fantasy's name wasn't attached to it, it would have been fine.
I think that's been an okay movie. It was weird having the Final Fantasy title there. That's true of a lot of things that Squaresoft and Square Enix have done, where they put a name that doesn't need to be on a title on the title, and if it's gone, it would be okay. Chrono Cross.
There you go.
But Spirits Within, I think the reason that a lot of people resent it, because Morag, you didn't grow up on it as much until like the Super Nintendo era, and then you kind of got away from Final Fantasy again. For a lot of us, like I was around since Final Fantasy 1. I played 2 and 3 US versions. I jumped on 7. And then Spirits Within comes out. It doesn't feel like a Final Fantasy story even really. And on top of that, it ends up tanking the company super hard.
Yeah.
It was not good for them.
Because I would like to dedicate a show to Final Fantasy media of some type, because I have some really good, strong points on why it should have been called Final Fantasy. Versus
Really?
some people where it isn't. But that's for another day.
You're gonna need Phoenix Wright to come with you on that one to convince me of anything.
Hold it!
Yeah, I'm gonna be the one spamming objection in this case. Oh man. Okay, so we've covered a lot of memories and whatnot, which is always fun to talk about because we all have plenty of them. But this is probably the #1 most common question when you start streaming a Final Fantasy game. What is your favorite and why? That is always the question I see the most. Which one's your favorite? Which one? So which one are you guys' favorites? Who wants to start?
Are we keeping this main series?
No, you can go with any of them, just a reason.
Tactics, for a lot of reasons. It was the most adult story, the most adult told story in the series. It did not pull any punches. It goes all in talking about all sorts of terrible things happening to people all over the world. The music is fantastic. I love job systems, switching around the jobs. The grinding, maximizing the grinding so that you're leveling up at the fastest pace that you can. I had a lot of fun with that. Everything about the game makes it my favorite of all time. And what it meant for me when I was growing up, as a teenager, I became part of a Final Fantasy Tactics community, and that's where I got started on the internet. That's
Nice.
when I actually started using forums a lot and stuff like that. If I had to pick a main series game, I would have to go with 6. Best villain, and if anybody, I would say that the villain's the main character of the game, if anybody is. In certain acts, the story shifts around really well, I feel like. Again, fantastic music, good gameplay. It's got some weaknesses in that it's kind of silly that everybody can learn every spell. Summons, only being able to use them once per fight, sometimes can be annoying because they're summons. How cool are they, man? Just everything about 6. I should go ahead and lift the shirt up there. I love 6.
I was trying to find my FF6 shirt today. Couldn't find it. I ended up siding with a Chrono Trigger one.
I went with an angry chocobo.
That works.
Well, I guess that'll be a segment at the beginning of each one. It's like, what Final Fantasy-esque shirt are you wearing today?
I gotta buy more than one then. I have too many 14 shirts and not enough generic Final Fantasy shirts.
I have far too many, and I was actually a little upset that I couldn't find any today. Anyway, my favorite Final Fantasy game is it's a tie between 6 and 13 too. I wasn't a like 6 is just fun because it holds a lot of feeling, lots of memory for me. Just with music, how the game progresses, all that good stuff. But the reason why 13.2 ends up holding up for me, and I'd almost say 13.2 might end up in some eyes play out better than even 6 does. Just for the simple fact, like it had a ridiculous story that they even made fun of it themselves during some of the battles. If you remember the computer battle where you have to shout into the future.
Yes,
it's
I
so
remember
dumb.
that.
Just like, is that actually supposed to work? And then it worked, and you're just like, no, I didn't expect that to work. And they're even stunned. They're like, how did that work? And Hope's like, oh yeah, we heard you. We're like, what? Anyway, like, and plus, you either have Kefka as the one villain that won, or you have Caius, who is literally the strongest Final Fantasy villain to date that still doesn't know how to use his power, and he just cries.
Just cries.
He just cries.
That's the best way to describe Caius, I feel. He could be way cooler, but he's not.
He can literally destroy anything he wants. You never actually end up beating him. Ever. He never dies. And then he just cries. If you go and play Lightning Returns, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
There's so much build up for 13. I'm like, yes, he's finally gonna die. He's finally gonna die. Nope.
That's it.
I actually remember watching you do the Caius fight in Lightning Returns. That was brutal.
He was a
wasn't it?
nightmare.
Was
That
he?
entire
Yeah.
dungeon. That entire dungeon was a nightmare. In Lightning Returns. Caius actually, 13.2 is not very high on my list, but Caius is one of my favorite villains, and he's one of the ones I'm hoping to see an announcement for the Dissidia
In
Arcade.
14.
Yeah, the Dissidia Arcade. I really want to see him in that because we're
Oh,
expecting
I
that.
just want the City Arcade to make it to PS4 and then to get ported over to the States.
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
has Ramza as a playable character. Why would I not want that?
Yes, perfect. Literally could not ask for a better character for you for their second new reveal after Final Fantasy XIV's character.
Yeah.
For me, it's 6. It's easily the reason is easily one. It's actually for me one of the least grindy games. You can move at whatever pace you want, kind of. If you want to super level early on before you get all the espers, if you want to play low level until you get the espers and then get the super powered level up bonuses. And then on top of that, you have all these characters. Some of them come and go as they please. Some of them, every single one of them has their own story. A few of them intertwine. It's not so much a straightforward game. There's a lot there, but only if you want to know it all. And there's a lot of little Easter eggs. It's also, strangely, other than the GBA version, it's also one of the games with, I don't think there's any optional super bosses in anything but the Game Boy Advance version.
Nope.
And
Which
it's just,
is an extreme disappointment to me.
yeah.
Always
That being
has
said, I never felt like there was a point where they just had something that was super crazy over-leveled on me just for the sake of making me spend hours and hours powering up. So I got to just play through it, enjoy it, check out all the stuff on the side. And for me, that was incredibly enjoyable. On top of that, just the story, especially Shadow, is definitely one of my favorite characters. He has one of the saddest stories of like any character, and you might not even get to know that story because you might just say, "I got to get off this island way too fast."
I don't know for him being the saddest character. I'm still gonna have to. I guess I'll have to give that to.
Cyan.
Why can't I think of his name? Damn it! No, it's FF7. Zach. There we
Zach.
go.
Zach.
Zach still is one of the saddest stories. Especially, I legit cried at the end of Crisis Core. I'm sorry. That game, it got me. It hit me in the feels so hard.
Do you know all the words to Loveless?
No, I don't know all the words, but that game still hits me every time I get to it. I'm just like, ah. Anyway.
So you mentioned a lot of the bonus, like side story, world building content of 6.
Right.
Like the stuff with Gao's dad. Have you talked to the guy that's in the bar that the Magitech facility is linked to, that tells you like what happened with Kefka?
Yeah.
Okay. I bring this up every time I play Final Fantasy VI, and there are people like, "What? How do I not know about that?" So what happened to Kefka, for those that haven't talked to this guy, the Empire is experimenting with Magitech infusions, and Kefka was the very first, or one of the very first, to get it done to him. And so the process wasn't refined yet, and he got infused with magic, but he also completely lost his mind due to the process not working quite so well. And that's why he's a complete nutbag and a psychopath that blows up the world.
I'd love to see if they go back and touch that game, decide to touch it. I really do hope they break into why he's an evil maniacal asshole. Because just like, you know, you get to see kind of the intro of it, like after Castle ends up sinking into the sand, and he's just like, you know, take the sand off my boots, take it off, and then it makes people do that.
There's sand on my boots.
Yeah,
so we're in a desert.
And like going from that and then going to him, like, you know, just utterly destroying the entire empire at that point and building it up himself. It was just like, oh, okay. How did you get to this point? Like, if you actually got to see like the general actually have a little bit more, we made the worst mistake ever type of moment, would be like I think the coolest thing to add to that.
Well, if 7 Remake does well, they did list, I believe, 6 and 8, 4, 6, and 8 as ones they'd specifically like to do full-blown remakes for as well. So you may get that wish someday.
Yeah.
Give me a recruitable General Leo.
Now, you can just hack the game and you can show up. Don't worry. Possible.
Not the same.
Put this Game Shark code in, you'll be fine.
That just reminds me of the number of people who used to use Action Replay to like change their characters in Kingdom Hearts, like play as Sephiroth. Like I've seen so many videos of that when I was young.
It's so possible. Just do this.
Yeah, you just have to do this thing that's not in the game at all, and you can have it exactly the way you want it. There we go.
A little side tangent to that. The one thing, the biggest Wild Juice case ever taken on in a video game was Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie Stop and Swap. I don't know if anyone knows about it. If you know about it, you know exactly. It's just there anyway.
I don't want to talk about Banjo-Kazooie because I just remember spending 10 hours looking at that key behind the ice block. Like, there's got to be a way. There has to be a way to get that key. It has to do something. And apparently there is. I found that out like a year ago. But
they actually put codes in the game because they legit wanted to put Stop and Swap in the game.
oh my god.
But it was wrecking consoles and the cartridges, so they took the feature out. Who would have thought pulling cartridges in and out of a system is a bad idea just to read save data?
Hey, listen, did you know that with Twisted Metal 4 on the PlayStation 1, you could remove the disc from your PlayStation and put in a music CD and continue playing the game with the music that was on the CD?
Well, with this was a thing that my friend did, is that with his Final Fantasy VII, the game would bug out sometimes, so he'd have to swap discs. So he would swap discs for FMVs too.
There you go.
So he would have Ultima Weapon like coming out of the water, blowing up the city, while like Cloud is just sitting there like hanging off of the bridge, ready to fall down. And it's just like, this is so dumb looking.
Oh man, that's great.
I love old games and how broken they were in so many different ways. Oh man. All right, so we're now getting into, okay, so we've had plenty of time to share our memories about Final Fantasies, but this coming week we have the OGs to talk about. We have Final Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy 2. Now, at this point, I believe, as of today, I'm the only one who's got any game time in on them, so we're not going to go over our, what we've done so far, how the combat systems evolved. We'll leave that all for next week. What we're going to talk about are kind of like our expectations, or things we remember, things we're dreading or looking forward to with Final Fantasy 1 or 2. First of all, which versions we're playing. You've already shown the PSP version. Slack, which ones are you going for?
I'll be doing the GBA versions.
Okay.
Because I love side content, and the GBA Final Fantasy 1 has bonus dungeon stuff, so...
But the PSP has all that too.
Does it?
No, actually, they're different versions with different optional content.
Are they? I see. That's one of the reasons I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, I'll set up the PSP stuff and I'll just play that, because I need to research into a few of the games and see.
I had research. They said it. From what I understood from when I did the research, is that it was the Dawn of Souls version, except on the PSP instead. That's what I was told. So now I gotta go look into this more. Damn it.
Yeah, the 20-year anniversary and the Dawn of Souls versions do have a different end dungeon. I think the Dawn of Souls version has the dungeon you have to beat like where the end boss depends on how you progress through the dungeon. I can't remember its name.
Oh, wow.
And the GBA version has, I think, like the Whisperwind Cove and things like that with bosses from like 6 and 4 and whatnot.
Yeah, they had the 4 different subzones afterwards.
Yeah.
They were really fun. All really fun bosses.
According to chat, the PSP version actually has the Whisperwind Cove, and it has the boss that I mentioned that like evolves based on. So PSP might be
That's right.
everything. I was under the impression they
Yeah.
were in some way slightly different. I'll have to double check on that. Chronodia, that's the
Plus.
name of the boss. Yeah, so good choices there. I'll be lame and I'm doing the Origins version, which has no bonus content at all. And it's
Hey, those load times are a bonus, all right?
no, it's on the PlayStation TV, so I don't got load times,
Well,
thankfully.
yeah, true, yeah.
And the other thing is mine still uses the charge system as opposed to MP. So
I'm a little
I've-
jelly there.
no, don't be. It's been a complete
The brutality of the charge system is kind of cool.
Oh, come
But
on,
at the
just
same
run in
time,
with
really
4
annoying.
warriors. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, and Origins is how I'll be playing 1 and 2. I'd imagine PSP, you're playing Dawn of Souls for 1 and 2, and then GBA is 1 and 2. So we all literally are playing different. That'll make for a good discussion next week, when we've literally all played different versions.
Different versions, yeah.
And none of them are the NES version. Speaking of which,
Screw that version.
are either of you picking up the retro NES that comes with the Final Fantasy one?
Probably.
I don't
I'll
know.
pick it up.
I feel like it's more of a collector item to me. It has a lot of great games on it, but a lot of those games, if I want them, I can get them on the Nintendo eShop and then not have a collector's item collecting dust on
Right.
my games area.
Okay. Yeah, I felt kind of the same way. I didn't know. Because after this, like, it comes out after this event. Am I going to get that and then play Final Fantasy 1 again, like, on top of that? It's kind of...
See,
poorly
I've
timed.
kind of given up on Nintendo for trying to create things backwards compatible through all their systems. I thought that they were going to learn from going from the Wii to the Wii U to make it so that stuff could go and transfer over, or even say putting your games from the DS and putting them on the Wii U in some fashion. But they never got a way to go and make that work together. They had all of the connections, they just didn't make them connect. Game Boy Player was one of the best things that they had ever made, and they just didn't decide to do it for any of the new systems at all. And
Game Boy Player, is that like the Super Game Boy for
yes,
something?
yeah, the Super Game Boy.
Okay.
The Super Game Boy was for the Super Nintendo. The Game Boy Player was for the GameCube.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's the one that attached on the bottom.
yeah.
Yeah,
right?
it puts it in through the bottom. When you see like the crazy people when they have like 4 or 5 GameCubes, 5 TVs, and they're playing 4 swords, so then everyone can see their own screens. There's a couple pictures of them out. It's pretty ridiculous. But Nintendo just never did it. So that's why I'm going to get the console, more as a collector, as Slack was saying, just because I know that they're just not going to care about any type of cross compatibility. So may as well get it because I know I'm going to have to buy it again later anyway.
Yeah, true.
It's okay. We're on a Final Fantasy show, and this is the master of series making us buy things over again. So
Seriously.
I guess that's a perfectly acceptable way of looking at it. Okay. So with Final Fantasy 1 in particular, Slack, you mentioned it earlier, it is the first game with a job system, but you pick the job at the beginning of the game, and that's it. You better hope that you made a decision that you can
Better
roll
hope
with.
that you made a good party, because if you're like 6 years old, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You don't know why you're going to need a white mage on your team.
So what party makeups are we looking up from you guys here? What are we looking at?
I have not decided yet. I was going to play around once I got into the game. The last time I played through it, I went knight, monk, because I love monks, punching things, best class in the game, every game,
Every game.
and white mage, red mage.
Ooh. That was almost my first party, except instead
Really?
of red mage, it was black mage.
Yeah.
But like this time, I know I want to do a warrior. I know I want to do a white mage, and I know I want to do a red mage. The 4th character, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do monk again. I don't know if I maybe want to make another warrior. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think I'll probably let chat decide.
Yeah.
I kind of want to try a
He's
ninja
not a
on this
thief.
playthrough, even though it's like, ninja, what's the point?
They get haste. I mean, it's nice to have the melee that can cast haste on top
That's
of
kind of
somebody
why
else.
I chose a red mage for my last slot on my last playthrough. It's like, look, it's my buff character. Ta-da!
The last time I played back in 2014, I went 1 warrior, 3 red mages. And the reason for that is because one of my biggest annoyances in the older versions is the charge system with the casts. And
Right.
essentially, when you're a black mage or a white mage, you get 2 casts and then good luck, go home. Because you're done, you're useless forever. So I was like, I'm just going to go with all red, because red mages have enough magic, they have the buffs, my knight will take next to no damage if I play through this game correctly. And I demolished that game in no time at all with that composition. Just haste and temper on the knight and just go to town.
You gotta do Saber too. You gotta use the Giant's Club for Saber.
Right, there you go. I just got that actually today, the Saber.
Oh, so good. And I'm being told we're playing it all wrong. We have to do a 4 white mage run.
Yeah, let's not do that.
The solo white mage run. Come on.
Yeah, the solo white mage run, actually. This time, I still went with 1 warrior and 2 red mages, because I love the idea. I love having 2 red mages. To me, it's just always, it's enough, because when they become red wizards later in the game, and they have more magic available, it's all the magic I'll ever need to get through the game. If enemy only takes magic damage, doesn't take much physical damage, they do just enough. Yep. If I need something that does physical hits, I don't need to worry about cast. Red mage is doing just enough. And they've been demolishing things alongside my warrior so far. But the last slot I let everyone pick, and they went with monk, which will become black belt later. Awful for the first, 10 to 15 levels, but by the time you're getting towards the end, you can one-shot the last boss. It's ridiculous how strong black belt becomes later on.
They get very strong. And then there was a glitch that I can never remember in the original Nintendo release, where I think you can equip a ribbon to the wrong slot on a monk, and then it will underflow his stats or something, so that he's got 255 hit rating or something crazy like that.
That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, and again, you can make him one-shot the final boss really easily doing that in the original.
Well, I don't think that'll work in any of our versions,
No,
unfortunately.
unfortunately.
Okay, so with those in mind, what kind of pace are you guys looking at to finish the game? Are you looking at just minimal grinding, speed through it, or are you gonna explore and kind of try to remember the game as it was when you first played it? Do it nice and slow.
I'm going to explore some. Like I said, a lot of the reason that I'm playing through some of these is because I want to get to the bonus content of quite a few of the games. Mm-hmm. I want to play the bonus dungeons for 4, because the 4 GBA bonus dungeons were really, really cool.
They're really fun.
The bonus dungeons in 6. It's an excuse to play more Final Fantasy 6. That's the only reason I need.
Are you going to do a full character ending?
Probably. For
way.
5, I won't be doing the bonus stuff. I'll be doing a 4-job Fiesta instead, because those are really fun.
That's a good
but
idea.
in 1, I'm definitely going to be doing the bonus dungeons there, or trying to, and then hoping that I can get enough time in on it. I loaded my last save from the last time I played through the game, and it was at about 15 hours. But I don't know how much of that, timing gets weird on the emulators when you're fast forwarding through it. So I don't know if it's a real time 15 hours or if it's in-game 15 hours. So I'm expecting 4 days for Final Fantasy 1 probably, if I'm doing all the bonus content.
As my chat has pointed out, I noticed somebody said that the version I'm playing, Origins, you can still do that ribbon trick.
You can do that, okay.
And I do have a monk in my party, so we may have to have a little bit of fun with this.
A little bit of fun, yeah.
Good luck with that one. Good luck.
Yeah, they knew I saw, because I was like... what about you, Morag? How are you going to be doing it? Because you and we're playing every game, so we don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, I was the one that made the schedule. I'm a little bit afraid for FF3 at this point. I realize that I don't think I put enough time in for FF3, so I'll probably be playing during the weekend on that one, because I'm only playing Monday to Friday for everything on that schedule. So I got to put everything super crunched into that 2 months. So it's going to be interesting to try and do that. So I'm going to just kind of play through it, not kind of nonchalant, and then if I have any extra time at the end, I don't know if I'm going to boot up too sooner, because I've been told that I'm in for a nightmare.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that in a second.
You may want to do like some off-stream grinding.
Well, that was what Crumps was saying. Crumps was saying, just start playing right now, start grinding, and then once you
get to the first city and just farm up, yeah.
And then just boot up your save. Do the intro stuff, boot up your save that you grinded out already on, because if you haven't started, you're screwed. I think is what he was saying in Discord. So I'm like, oh
God.
Yeah,
no.
Final Fantasy II is a leveling system that I'm just gonna say I'm not a big fan of.
I'm going to be hitting all of my guys really, really hard.
2 shields and beat the crap out of yourself. And hope that your agility and your health go up every fight. Apparently, there's actually a calculation behind it. I remember researching it a few years back, where you can determine exactly if when you've earned a level and you can't earn more than 1 level per fight. So you can calculate, I hit myself 6 times. That's the max amount of times I should hit myself this fight because I will gain nothing past that. There's it's the fact that it needs to be explained like that is a bit crazy because normally you play a Final Fantasy game, it's like, whoa, I just got 2 levels off that enemy. That's an exciting thing. No, that's not going to happen here. You just, I can't wait to talk about it next week. And I can't wait to talk about it. I can't wait to remember it all.
I don't know. Are we all on the same ground that we don't know exactly what we're doing for FF2? Or
I know exactly what I'm doing.
What are you guys doing then?
I'm putting on 2 shields and beating the crap out of myself for a few hours.
I don't know if I'm going to play it because depending on how long Final Fantasy 1 takes, that might spill into my FF2 time, which I'd be okay with because I haven't played 2 and I'm not a big fan of it for all of the reasons that he's been saying.
Yeah,
and so then with Final Fantasy 3, I haven't played that one before either, so I may start that a day or 2 earlier when we're supposed to be playing Final Fantasy 2 still. So I can get a head start on that and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Do I have to grind in this?
If you're playing the Steam version, you'll enjoy it. I played the Steam version very recently. It's pretty good. You just got to remember that the graphics are, nothing like the original graphics.
I remember why I rage quit on FF3 now. There's no save points in the dungeons, and I died in the dungeon. And I got kicked out to the front. I was like, that was like an hour worth of grinding. I hate you, game. And then I smashed my DS in anger, and then I never played it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, keep in mind with 3, the optional guy at the end, he's an asshole. Just remember that. There's only one really important one. He's an asshole. So
for everything I kept reading, 3, the last dungeon is
it's atrociously difficult.
More angry, especially with just like some really random stuff that ends up happening in that.
Yeah, there's no save point. After a certain point, you're stuck in the final dungeon, and it's 5 bosses back to back with no save points. 6 bosses actually, I think, back to back with no save points. And enemies in between them. Like you have to walk between the bosses too. I did it by accident, and I was like, "Can I not go back?" And they were like, "No, you're stuck. You got to better finish the game right now because otherwise your life. That's it."
That sucks.
Yeah, it's a really fun game though if you get past those challenges. But we'll have plenty of time to talk about it. That's going to be in 2 episodes. 2 episodes from now will be a good old Final Fantasy 3 hate train on the Crystal Tower, pretty much. So. I want to ask if we're looking forward to these, but because 2 is one of the 2 games that are here, I don't know if I can ask if anyone's looking forward to playing Final Fantasy 2 at all, even if it's something like Slack, you said you weren't even sure if you were going to play it, which, by the way, smart man. Are you looking forward to it, Morag, for any reason at all after all you've heard?
I'm honestly just looking forward to, like, for me, all of the Final Fantasy games, people say, well, is the series ever going to die? And the one thing that I've always found about the Final Fantasy series is that I don't think a lot of people take a look at why, and this goes into even the video too. One of my strongest points is that Final Fantasy itself has always changed how you progress your character, no matter what. Through every single game, you progress your character extremely differently every single time. So being able to go in and see where it came from with 2, to go and see where they take that and bring it other places, I think it's for the better. Because if you go and take a look, if you didn't play 10.2, you have no idea where the 13 battle system came from. You have no idea where that 13 battle system came from because you never got to see what 10.2 was. Because 10.2 is the 13 battle system in a nutshell, but they cleaned it up and made it a lot simpler for 13. So I want to see what they do with 2 and how they push into the other series, especially playing them in order. seeing their thought progress from game to game to game to game. That is why I'm looking forward to 2, though.
2 doesn't influence too much of the rest of the Final Fantasy series. That system gets ported over to the Saga games.
Yeah, it's very similar. My chat's been making sure that I'm aware that 2 is the origin, basically, of the progression systems for Saga. But it still progressed something.
Well, it's kind of like
just a different, an offshoot series. They were like, well, let's get that away from Final Fantasy.
It's kind of like Final Fantasy Adventure became the Mana series.
Yeah.
The second Setsei, which actually, the second Setsei is playing right now from Secret Mana.
Oh, man. All right, so we have our expectations, but we don't want to spoil too much. There's so many glitches and fun things to come for Final Fantasy 1, especially for me, apparently. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on a ribbon now.
Good luck.
Oh, I don't need luck. I have a ribbon. That's the whole point. There's no luck involved at all. So I say that we probably wrap this up and get to our streams, where we're all going to be playing Final Fantasy 1. 3 different versions for you guys to choose between watching. So why don't we tell everyone where they can find said stream? Slack, why don't you start us off?
Twitch.tv/Slackaholicus. SLACKAHOLICUS. Not Slackaholicious, like you will hear 99% of people call me if I sub to them.
It's funny you should say that, because the conversation Morag and I had last night, I kept calling you Slackaholicus over and over again. And he's just, and I wrote down your name, I was like, S-A, I spelled it out just like you did. I did it to myself, so.
It's okay. It happens literally all the time. I'm used to it.
And what's your schedule look like, so people know when they can find you?
I should be starting around the same time that we started this little podcast today. My usual stream times should be around 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and I'll go for 6 or 7 hours. Ideally, moving forward, especially with some of the bonus content I want to do on some of the games and the kind of time frame we have, I might be starting earlier some days if I wake up in time and feel up to it.
And he will be playing the Game Boy Advance version, for everyone looking for the specific versions. Morag, what about you?
I'll be playing the PSP versions of 1 and 2. My schedule is pretty much starting anywhere from 1 to 2 to 3, and then going for 8, 9, 10 hours. So we'll see how that
20 hours.
20 hours, maybe. You never know. I told myself I don't want to stream anything past 2 p.m., 2 a.m., so I can fix my damn sleep schedule, because I'm surprised I wasn't waking up for like another hour, like these past couple days, this past week, just trying to get this all going because I've been working through the nights. But yeah, serious conversation as well too.
When you say it like that, I don't know if I can believe you.
That feels
serious
very facetious.
conversation.
We're very serious.
Oh, damn. Well, I guess maybe I just take myself too seriously sometimes. But the main point is that I'll be doing Final Fantasy from Monday to Fridays. That's why I'm going to probably be doing the longer streams. And then on weekends, I'll be doing some different stuff as well too. Not Final Fantasy related, because I am still a variety streamer. So I don't want to hurt the rest of the people's channel.
I will be Monday through Saturday. I'll be playing Final Fantasy most of those days, as long as I still have a Final Fantasy that I should be playing right then.
Right. Yeah, for me, and I was going to say something else I just introduced. I'm going to be playing the PlayStation 1 version that's Origins for 1 and 2, and I get to cheat on the last boss. I'm going to be doing pretty long streams. I usually stream from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be starting probably at 7 a.m. for the duration of the event, and on Wednesdays through Saturdays, I'll be extending my stream in subathon style pretty much every day, and that'll determine if I get to do extra content or not, because I want to keep up with the schedule that we have. And I'm someone who really loves to take my time on Final Fantasy games. So half of it's because I want people to enjoy, half of it's because I don't trust myself to beat it in the 5 hours a day, because I just take too much time. I've already stopped to do a bunch of side content in Final Fantasy 1, including my favorite good old number 15 game, which I was completely successful at to my own surprise.
Did you end up doing like the length glitch so you get more money?
So I found out it's not a length glitch. In the NES version, there's third, second, and first place, beat 6 minutes, beat 4 minutes, beat first place, and the rewards are better in the NES version. Yep. In the Origins version, it's same deal, beat 6, 4, and 2, but it's just gil. I accidentally finished it in 1 minute and 30 seconds, so I got the 10,000 gil which, by the
Oops.
way, the amount of gil you need in Final Fantasy 1 in the Origins, I don't know about the other versions. I got 10,000, I was like, yay! And then I was like, next town.
Boom, it's
Never
all gone,
mind.
and I've only bought half of the stuff that I need.
Yeah,
Especially with a red mage, 3 red mages, you are going to
Yeah,
be
I need the
broke.
swords. I need the
Yeah.
the super expensive swords for everybody. So luckily, monk I don't need a weapon for, and all
Yeah.
there are, and they can't equip like 90% of the stuff in the game unless you find it. So I lucked out there on a little bit. But yeah, so I'll be starting stream 7 a.m. And I'll be sticking mostly to Final Fantasy, but I also play Final Fantasy 14 fairly regularly. That's kind of like my mainstay is. Tomorrow there's a Yokai Watch collaboration with it, so
Oh,
I'm
nice.
going to have to play that as well. And I'm also expecting this is unconfirmed, patch 3.4 to be September 20th,
Yeah,
which
Oh, wow.
you're gonna be busy.
I'm scared. If it's September 20th, between that, the new raid tier, the finishing count up, and Final Fantasy 15 the following week, and Fan Festival in Vegas 2 weeks into October, and then World of Final Fantasy on the 25th,
Yeah.
I am frightened, my friends. I am
You're-
terribly frightened.
Well, you're not going to PAX, are you?
Yes, I am.
Oh, you're going to PAX too.
Oh, wow.
But
I'm
I'm gonna go to Intel and be like, guys, listen, I'm gonna install Final Fantasy games onto your computers because they always tell me install whatever you want if you want to stream on our computers. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say I'm gonna install this and I'm gonna play it all 5 days of PAX for at least an hour or two. Somehow I'll fit that into my schedule.
Just bring your save files with you. You're all good to go.
I think I did that for one PAX. I think I did bring save files for something. I can't remember what though.
Where do I put this memory card? It doesn't fit.
No, not that kind of save file. And 2 seasonal events. Yeah, I'm so screwed when it comes to
Jeez.
how many hours it's going to be. That's another reason why we want the extended streams. But anyway, we are all going to go pretty much and play. They're going to play for several hours. I only have about an hour and a half left to play, and I've been playing all morning already. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. We will be back next week where we will be recapping on Final Fantasies 1 and 2, how the series is evolving. That's going to be the general theme for most of these podcasts, which will end, by the way. He didn't want me calling them a podcast because then it implies we'll be going past Final Fantasy 15's launch.
Forever and ever.
We just call it a cast for that reason. No pods.
Yeah.
No
I'd also like to make sure that everyone does go and visit the website because it's just not us 3 that are partaking in this event. There's over 50 different broadcasters that are going to be partaking in this event. So please check out the website, scroll down on it. You can see everyone that is partaking. But also keep an eye on the schedule as well too. The calendar will always go and say what games should be being played kind of during that time. And in the future, there is going to be a Who's Live on there too. I didn't get it quite finished. Damn you, PSP! Took all my time yesterday.
Also of note, not everybody taking part in the FF Count Up is playing the games. A lot of people on there are also doing stuff on Twitch Creative. People drawing pictures, doing all sorts of stuff over there. So if you like creative stuff, definitely check those out.
YouTube as well too, and that's gonna be slightly separated on the website in the future. This is a 2-month-long event. There is so much that's going to be happening, including a couple things. Keep an eye on the Discord if you haven't joined it. Rainwave, I found out, is going to be offering some listening parties now. If you guys haven't used Rainwave, it's an online radio station for all video game music, and they said that they're willing to put up 2 events a week for us to just chill out and with just Final Fantasy music, just for the whole series. So that's going to be pretty damn awesome. Looking forward to that. And there are some other goodies as well too with other Final Fantasy media coming up.
Yes. So Morag likes to take all these things and then tell us about them later because he's the hardest worker that I've ever known. Morag, can I help with something? No.
No, I'm good. It's fine.
If you know someone at Humble Bundle, that'd be really cool.
I do not. I could reach out.
They
but
are
I do
so
not.
hard to talk to.
I could ask around. I'll try for you, Morag. I'll try.
Yeah.
I just want you to not have to worry about your PSP and have time for nothing else, pretty much. That's what I want for you.
I just want to complain. It's okay. Don't worry.
That's okay. We'll make sure. We'll make sure that you have plenty to complain about.
FF2 is coming. I'll have plenty
Yeah.
from what
Plenty to complain about. That's not a joke, though, unfortunately.
Are either of you guys doing any of the mobile games?
I'm doing Mobius, yes,
Okay. No.
since it's coming out
When does Mobius come out?
August 3rd.
August 3rd. Okay.
There's an English trailer for it that dropped today.
Oh, I gotta go watch that.
Also,
I can't get into mobile games. Just give me content. Even if I dump $20 to $50 on the game, I'm still gonna be complete shit at the game. Just give me something with real content and let me play it.
And since we're counting up to 15, don't forget to check the English trailer for Kingsglaive, which has some amazing cameos, if you haven't noticed them already, for some characters we absolutely did not expect to be showing up in Kingsglaive. And on top of that, check to see if it's in a theater near you. If it's going to be airing in one of the 10 to 12 theaters.
I might go down to Seattle for it. I might. I don't know yet.
I got to see what theaters it's in still.
When does that release?
August 30th.
August 30th, okay.
No,
Digitally. Digitally, it's August 30th. But before that is the theater. I don't know what day the theater is. We should probably look these things up before we say them on the show. Probably be a good idea.
I was just reading it this morning.
Yeah, I only know that the digital version is August 3rd. The DVD and Blu-ray is October 3rd. I'm sorry, August 30th, and then October 3rd, which is after the game comes out, which the collector's edition or the ultimate edition comes with the Blu-ray for it. For theaters, though, I'm not.
19th for theaters, digital download the 30th, Blu-ray DVD October 4th.
4th. Okay, I knew it was there. You go. August 19th. So August 19th, check to see if it's going to be in a theater near you. I know you got Suicide Squad 2 weeks before that, but damn it, make time.
The theaters are going to be New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., Houston, Seattle, Orlando, El Paso, and another place in Texas. They're at Alamo Draft Houses. They get everything. There's a bunch there.
There's Alamo Draft Houses here. We should get the movie then.
There's four of them.
Yeah, there's 4 in Texas. Yeah.
Lubbock. Yeah, it's all 4 of them are getting them in Texas then.
And maybe you just hope that they get more theaters before August 19th.
Yeah.
And also Brotherhood. The next episode of Brotherhood's in a few weeks too. There's going to be 1 episode a month. If you haven't seen the first however many episodes, you should go watch all of them. First 3 episodes, go watch them.
The
They're
last
fantastic.
episode comes out before 15, right?
That is correct. And 15,
Okay.
the Ultimate Edition, comes with a 6th episode.
I'm looking forward to it now.
Yeah, I've been waiting until all of the episodes were out to watch them. I haven't watched any of them yet. Have you guys?
Yes.
I watched
Are they-
the
is it
first
good?
one, and I've been waiting.
The second one is fantastic. The second one is probably going to end up being my favorite, I foresee, for good reason. There's a lot of memes around it. But they're not bad memes. They're good memes. I promise. Okay. So on that note, everyone, these guys
We
want to
should
get
get
to their
going.
streams.
Yeah.
I want to get to my stream. Thank you for joining us here for Count Upcast. We will see you next Monday to talk about Final Fantasies 1 and 2. Thank you, everyone, and take care. We'll see you in a few minutes.
See you guys.